The family of Asia Bibi, the Pakistani Christian mother in prison now for nearly 9 years on blasphemy charges, met with Pope Francis at the Vatican. Bibi's youngest daughter, Isham, said she expects her mother will soon be released from prison. But the family must then flee Pakistan or they'll be killed. Bibi was jailed in June 2009 after her Muslim co-workers became upset over her use of a drinking cup. Angry words were exchanged and they accused her of committing blasphemy against Muhammad. She was convicted and sentenced to death. And in October 2016, Bibi appealed her case to the Pakistan Supreme Court. Now, she's still waiting for that appeal to be heard. And once again, Asia Bibi's case focuses attention on Pakistan's antiquated blasphemy law. And just this year, more Christians have been jailed on false charges of blasphemy. Wilson Chowdhry keeps on top of this. He's of the British Pakistani Christian Association and joins us for some perspective. Wilson, you say this meeting with the Pope was extremely significant. Tell us about it and why you believe it was significant.
This meeting was particularly important because it comes on the back of a move by the European Union itself. So the European Parliament made a decision to extend GSP, which is Generalized System of Preferences, a project with Pakistan which enables them to have a certain tax, customs and excise-free goods trading between Europe and Pakistan. This actually significantly impacted on their GDP, and as a consequence, it empowers Western nations, especially Europe, to intervene on behalf of Asia Bibi. Her solicitor has now also submitted another application for the appeal hearing, and it seems to me that everything's happening at a particularly good point, where all these different ends are coming together, putting enough pressure on Pakistan to make them make that correct decision and free Asia Bibi, who is an innocent woman who committed absolutely no blasphemy.
Now, Wilson, Isham said she expects her mom to be released soon. Do you think that's going to happen as a result of the EU trade threats and also the Pope's meeting?
Well, the EU trade threat is part of it. Obviously, Pakistan has now been declared a nation of that warrants concern with America. It's on their special watch list. American senators and congressmen are very aware of Asia Bibi's situation and will be monitoring her Supreme Court hearing. Now, the last Supreme Court hearing failed because a judge on the day of the hearing decided he had a conflict of interest, despite having been aware of this Supreme Court hearing for some time. So our expectation is now, with so much of the world watching, these pressure points being applied by both America and the EU, that Pakistan will simply have to cave in.
Come this June, it'll be 9 years, Wilson. But I know Asia is not alone. There are other Christians more recently that have been charged and arrested for blasphemy. Tell us about some recent cases.
Well, Patras Masih was arrested on the 19th of February for alleged blasphemous content on his FB. We've spoken to the local pastor. We've tried to intervene on behalf of the family. We've been advised by the pastor who had a direct contact with the family, who have gone into hiding, I should say, and was able to tell us that the content appeared at a time after which the boy's phone had been stolen. Patras Masih was 17 years old. He now becomes the fourth Christian teenager to have been arrested and detained, and potentially with a court hearing, a trial date now set, being convicted in a space of less than 6 months. The first one would be Nabil Masih, which everybody that we've met, which I know that many Christian groups are aware of, and there was Stephen Masih and Shahid Masih as well. Now, these teenagers are literally of vulnerable ages, 17. None of them seem to have committed the blasphemy for themselves. It always seems to be a crime that's been enacted by somebody trying to settle a personal enmity. And for me, for a law to be misused in this fashion, it's simply a poor indictment on any nation.
What should President Trump and our viewers do about it?
Well, President Trump really should stop any foreign aid funding budgets for Pakistan. I mean, we're calling for Britain to do the same. Britain sends over 445 million. But Prime Minister Trudeau from Canada is now engaging with Pakistan in opening the doors for further trade. I mean, these are quite concerning, whereas the EU seem to be stamping things out by saying, well, you won't have any further trade with us unless you free Asia Bibi and sort out your poor human rights record. Shouldn't it be requisite from every country that provides foreign aid budget to Pakistan in any shape, way or form to ensure that the budgets are used appropriately, that there's accountability, that there's traceability, but more than anything, that the funds are being used to create a better future for the nations for which they're given to, so that Pakistan in itself would first of all have to prioritise removal of the existing prejudices and the extreme poverty. For me, it's just blasé to hand money to a country because of an alleged alliance in a war against terror, when Pakistan seems to have both feet in, one foot in both camps. It's quite concerning.
Okay, Wilson Chowdhry, we appreciate you, British Pakistani Christians, for staying on top of this. Thanks for joining us from London.